716-878-5104 or go to facebook.com/91.3 WBNY and comment there. That's facebook.com/91.3 WBNY. Courtesy Breitbart.
That would be helpful. Hello out there. This is L. Nathan here. Welcome to our broadcast, Living for the People, focused on providing you insight into events shaping our national and regional world and the facts behind those events and policies that are shaping our world for today and for tomorrow. Join us weekly on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. following in the Good News Democracy Now! Program. And of course, our program is live, so you can call and you can join our discussion. We really hope that you will. Our number here again is 716-878-5104. That's 716-878-5104. And of course, today, every day has some bad news for somebody. Would you agree with that, Norm?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Norm is our in-studio audience of one, so when I get an audience participation kind of comment, I go to Norm because he has that broad spectrum.
Yeah, I don't. I have a specific.
Willie's kind of pointed, you know?
Yeah.
But we found out, on Wednesday, there's a little bit of liberal in Willie, too. He tries to act like he's the conservative captain of the ship. But that's not really true. There's some progressive stuff inside of Willie,
There is.
But Willie is the one who actually understands all of this IT stuff, and he makes it possible for us to provide you with this program in this format. So thanks, Willie, for being here and doing the work that you do.
Well, the Lord has blessed. I got a new MacBook Pro, so hopefully I'll be able to do a little bit more with this show. I haven't brought it in. I'm still learning it.
And Will, just for 14 seconds, tell people what they can hire you to do. You do a lot of stuff.
Well, I'm first of all, I'm a music lover, so I'm a DJ at heart. I'll do that whether paid or not. Just saying, putting it out there. That's how much
I skipped that phase. I
know. But I'm a DJ at heart, music lover. Then I'm also videographer. I love to do video. I'm expert at that. Learned that at Time Warner Cable, Spectrum. They taught me the art of video editing, video producing, video, operating the video camera.
You've used 13 of your 14 seconds.
Okay, yeah. Also, I do PA specialist. I even do games for ESPN.
He's
some Sabres games, some Buffalo Bills, some UB games. They use. Matter of fact, this Saturday using me in audio.
And you bring your own equipment, so
right, yeah.
That makes a big difference to me.
Yeah.
So just want to give people a little bit of understanding about some of the things.
And make sure you guys call in 716-878-5104. Guys, don't feel intimidated to call in. I know everybody think Mr. Hare's a brainchild and like they're intimidated, but call in, guys. We need to hear your side of it. We need to hear your perspective.
Trust me, whatever the perspective is of the citizens, it's genius for democracy.
Right.
Democracy only works if the geniuses out here participate.
Right.
If they all sit on their hands, democracy just doesn't work.
Right. Absolutely.
And you end up electing people like this conehead that you elected, in 2000.
But some of you may not think he's a conehead, so even call in. Let us maybe there's something you see.
You're right. That was my opinion. Yeah. That's just my opinion.
Call in, guys.
But it's a very strongly held opinion. Okay. Right. Excuse me. Today is sort of a somber day. You all remember Dianne Feinstein, Senator Dianne Feinstein. I think is she the first woman senator that we had? I didn't have time to do all the first, kind of stuff that Dianne Feinstein.
Mr. Hare, I'm sorry. My intellect don't go that far. When you say Feinstein, I'm thinking of Frankenstein. So
my goodness. No. She's not Frankenstein.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It could be Frankenstein.
But I'm sure the Republicans thought she was Frankenstein because she was just too progressive.
Oh, she was on their butt.
They just couldn't stand her. And, of course, she was quite old. I think she was 89 or 90 years old at the point that she passed away. And she had been suffering from what appears to be some version of Alzheimer's, or at least some significant dementia.
Yeah, my father died.
You know, and my father, it wasn't the reason why he died, but it was a sort of a parallel thing that
Mine too. Absolutely the same thing. Same thing.
If you ever lived through that, and you had to be the caretaker, you were the one that was there every day.
My mother.
Not those relatives that live down in Bluth, Alabama, that only see you once a year. I'm not talking about those relatives, right?
It was hard on her because he almost looked like he was a little boy, and he would do stuff that wasn't his personality, and she was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's a kind of a thing that you really can't adjust to what's happening inside the person who has the dementia syndrome. You can't adjust to it because it's not a personality thing. It's not something that you can teach and you can shape and work it into a rhythm. It doesn't go like that.
Yeah.
That person is being incapacitated. Nerves are dying in that person's body, all over the body.
Yeah.
And it's just doing what it's going to do.
Right.
I've been doing a lot of research on it. Obviously, I was hoping this research would happen 10 years ago, but there's research now that says that there are some compounds that you can take that actually grow nerve cells. We were taught that nerve cells don't grow. When they die, they just die.
Right.
But apparently there is some set of hormones and chemicals that you can take. I don't have the science on this. I'm just reading up on it recently. But it suggests that you can actually regrow, not quickly, but you can regrow some nerve cells.
Right.
If you can regrow nerve cells, you can regrow pathways that messages can go through that they can't go through right now.
Yeah, I was hearing something even with hair, like bald head, there's a possibility you can regrow that.
So I just wanted us to just have, a little empathy for Dianne Feinstein's family, for the community of people that have been working with her and around her for all of these years. I mean, she's been a stalwart public servant for easy 35 or 55, 60 years. And so we should just, appreciate that.
Yeah, let me spell her name because I want to get her on before.
F-E-I-N.
F-E-I-N.
S-T-E-I-N.
Feinstein. F-E-I-N. S-T-E-I-N. I got it.
Right. Feinstein. Right. And it brings me, it makes me revisit, our producer. I'll call him our producer. He's not a producer right now, but has been our producer for years. James Braun. Whenever I hear him do the prologue, into the program, it just places that calm on me,
Right.
There's James, right? And hopefully you all have that experience, with those that have passed.
Also, I want to say hello to Kaki. I spoke to her yesterday. She's coming to town soon, very soon, a few days. And also October 29th, there's going to be a special thing. She's looking for the restaurant now so that we can memorial for
that'd be outstanding.
October 29th. So keep that in your library on your day.
Looking for that to happen.
Yeah.
So, but we do have to talk about the news of the day,
nice.
And that's what this program talks about. We try to provide you with an alternative, or I don't even want to say an alternative. We just try to provide you with our insight into what we think is happening, why it's happening, who's doing what motivates them to do what they're doing, from the perspective that we have from the chairs that we sit in, and we don't apologize, but we don't bark at people, we don't chase people away, we don't hang up on people, and that sort of stuff. If you have an opinion that's contrary to the opinion that that I may have, I want to hear it. And many times you've heard us, on the air say, I didn't see it that way. If I had looked at it like that, I might have had a different opinion about this thing. That's how we all should. That's how democracy should work. We should be putting our thoughts, our ideas, our opinions, our priorities on the table together and try to work things out. The way that we talk about democracy in America is not actually what I consider to be real democracy. Real democracy, if you look at the traditional African constitution. I know you all say, "Oh, he always goes to Africa." Well, these are the oldest civilizations on Earth, are in Africa. So if you find civilizations that live for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years, that's probably got a lot more confidence in what that civilization was doing than you might have in a civilization that only has been around for 300 years. Does that make sense? So I try to look at other experiences of other civilizations and how they wrestled, with concerns and problems and how they worked their way through them to give me insight into the things that we should be doing today. So when they talk about democracy, they're really talking, in these traditional African societies, they're really talking about consensus democracy. Consensus democracy is different than Republican democracy. And I don't mean Republican as a Republican Party. I mean the democracy of a republic. In a republic, you're essentially electing an elite, and the elite then cast the votes for the population. They cast the vote for the leader of the entire population. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The Electoral College essentially is the body of the elites. You elect delegates to the Electoral College, and then those delegates cast your vote for you. But they don't have to cast their vote for you. Remember, we talked about this before, Norm. They don't have to cast that vote for you. Mm-hmm. They're supposed to cast that vote for you, but sometimes they cast a vote for Mickey Mouse. Sometimes they cast a vote for Casper. You don't know what they may do. Hopefully they don't disrupt the electoral process where a whole bunch of them don't do what they're supposed to do. But I'm just trying to help us understand that our democracy is not... It's not the same kind of democracy that we claim that we're building our democracy around. We're actually doing something a bit different. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on that I don't think we think about enough is that our democracy works. Let me say it this way. Our democracy really only works if we honor the rights and privileges that are enshrined in the Constitution for us as individual people. In the Constitution, it says that the British can't come with their red coats on and their muskets and break into your house and take the turkey and the roast beef and the corn and, any gold you got around. Just take that stuff because they're trying to finance their, English army that's operating in the American colonies. So they would take stuff from you. They weren't the only ones. The American colonists that were fighting in the American Revolutionary War, they broke into your house and took your stuff too. Right? And so the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, actually enshrines that you cannot do that. You cannot just walk into somebody's house claiming that you're the sheriff or you're the deputy or you're a police officer and start taking stuff. You just can't do that, right? You have to go through a process. You got to go through a judge. You got to get subpoenas and warrants, and you got to get stuff done for you to be able to come into somebody's house. That's why it took like 7-8 months to get a subpoena against Donald Trump to get back stuff that belonged to the government. He's got 25 or 50 boxes of papers that are all presidential documents that the law says, by law, that when your administration ends, you have to give this stuff to the National Archives and Records Administration. There's no reasoning in that. There's no reason words. You have to give these things to the National Archives and Records Administration. Donald Trump refused to do it. And then when he gave some up, he lied about stuff that he hadn't given up, and so on. But my point is that a constitutional democracy for us works because we have rights that are enshrined in the Constitution. So, Norm, you can go out to City Hall, and you can have like your flowers in your ear and, your Indian clothes on, and all we're asking is to give peace and change. You can do that and talk loud. And they have to put up with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just that simple. Mm-hmm. People have to put up with it. They don't get to say, I don't like it. it's getting on my nerves. You don't get to do that.
Right.
In our kind of a democracy, you have rights. And the right to run your mouth is the first right that's talked about in the Constitution, right?
That's right.
And that's different. You walk around Iran running your mouth. You know, you don't want to wear the hijab, okay? So you start running your mouth. Guess how long you will get to run your mouth?
Not long, sir.
Okay?
Not long.
Maybe by this afternoon, right? So somebody's coming to see you, right? So our democracy works because we have rights. But in African historical, the sort of unwritten African Constitution, in their system, they go further. What they say is when there's a decision that has to be made, whoever their council is, if it's the council of the elders or it's the council of the, adult men or adult women or it's the senior, elders, whoever the people are that are making the decisions, what they do is they vote on something, and if there's anybody who votes no, they can't move yet. They have to come back to the person who said no and say, why did you say no? How is what we're talking about going to hurt you? What can we do to do what we're trying to get done and not hurt you with the way that we're doing it? And they have to work with it until they come to it, until they come to that point in the discussion. That's real democracy. That's consensus democracy. Now, I know it's in a lot of people's minds. If we did that, it would take 15 years to get one decision.
Because there's always going to be somebody that goes against the status quo. So, when it really boils...
There's always somebody here who does that. Mm-hmm. But when consensus democracy is the culture of your people, that's what your people do. You know that when you come to a decision point, the goal is to come to consensus.
So with that being said, they basically, it's not like they just I guess they would, because they're trying to come to a consensus, they speak about it beforehand. And I guess basically find out where everybody's at. And if somebody is off the page,
they put you in a position where if you can't come to consensus with everybody talking about all the different ways we can handle this thing that it doesn't hurt you, if you can't come to consensus, then they will say, you are really trying to be an agent of destruction. You don't really care what the decision is.
Right.
And if that's the case, they judge you differently. Right,
okay.
So they require that you participate in the democracy. Is the point, right?
And that particular type of democracy.
If we want democracy to work in this country, to continue to work in this country, we have to participate. We can't go to the S&S, lounge or, Crest Lounge or, y'all might not remember these places.
Oh, I remember these things.
You're from the Jim Jims group.
Wait a minute. The S&S was, when I was coming up young, that was the cheapest place in the town.
You were very, 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 very young.
I was young, but I do remember. I was there, Mr. Hare.
And so, but my point here is that we can't make this work if you're sitting on your hands, if you're on the back porch, and you're talking stuff, you're smoking snuff or whatever it is you all do. You can't make democracy work like that. Democracy only works if you participate in it. So I know you hear me whining about Donald Trump and all these people around him, Eastland, and these folks that seem to be insidious anti-democracy people. Mm-hmm. It's not it's not policies that disturbs me. It's their willingness to actually eviscerate the basic institutions of this country for their own power, for their own gain.
Well, see, that's what the thing is with me. Now, everything, doesn't matter what it is, boils down to the basic format of the Constitution, and it goes back. But they're going past that. They're not even agreeing or doing the things within the format of the Constitution.
Playboy says that he's the king.
I mean, it's to me.
Said, I'm the king. You know, I could not have lost the 2020 election.
No way.
I'm the king, right? You know, but you know, it's not him per se. I mean, I talk about him, but it's the 70-something million people that voted for him.
And when you support that to me, I'm not understanding what this format of people out here. I can't understand what they're saying. I mean,
Well, here's what you have to understand. You know, my father always told me that, you know, whenever you find what you're looking for, you stop looking. That's the evidence that you found what you were looking for. You stop looking, right? We were looking for an answer, you know, to take us to the next level after Barack Obama got us out of the recession and the economic, you know, crisis that we were in. Barack Obama got us out of that, and put us in real good shape. So now we needed an answer. What do we need to do to lead us to the next level? What's the next level supposed to be? And you went to this real estate hustler, you know, who's got carnival stuff, casinos and so on, and you went to him and made him the person that you vested all the power of the presidency of the United States. And he said, you know, I told you I was a pimp, you know, and you hired me because you knew I was a pimp. So I'm acting like a pimp. Why are you bothering me? You know, I mean, he's been up front. You know, I mean, you can't say you didn't know who he was.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? He's been up front.
He's shown you who he is, and when somebody show you who they are, you're supposed to believe him. Gotta believe him.
My angel smacks us all upside the head every day, trying to help us to understand that.
Man.
So, you know, with where we are right now, you know, we're at this stage where the Republicans, in my view, have constructed what I think of as a hustle. We normally have primaries take place early in the year, in the middle of the year, where the presidential race is going to take place, right? So if the presidency is supposed to be voted on in 2024, you would have primaries in 2024 for each of the parties that are going to nominate people for the presidency. Isn't that the way you understood it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But we've been in the primary season for months already. This is 2023. We're already in the primary season, but not truly. Only the Republicans are in the primary season. The Democrats are not holding primaries until next year, when everybody's supposed to hold primaries. So what does that do? It puts the Republicans in a position where every week we're talking about whatever the issues are for who's elevating themselves up or down in the primary race for the Republican Party, with no comparable noise coming from the Democratic Party. Remember the theorem. You become what you hear.
Yeah.
If all you're hearing is Republican, 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 even if it's despicable.
Yeah.
If all you hear is that becomes your context.
That's the reality.
Right.
But here's my question, Mr. Hare. With this, first and foremost, the Democratic Party, they should counteract that. They have to. It was. I watched a movie not long ago. It was called The American President. Mm-hmm. And in this particular movie, there was a guy. His name was Rumsfeld. I just remember the name for whatever. He's like he was running. He's a Democrat, and he basically was coming at the president. President never opened his mouth. Toward the end, it came to a point where they talking about the president's girlfriend. He had to open his mouth. He had to say something. Mm-hmm. But my point is, if you don't say something, that reality or the things what they're trying to speak into reality is what the people
because
see.
They get to shape the way that you think about something, and because they're the ones with the information. Mm-hmm. You don't know anything about the president's girlfriend or whatever it is they're talking about, right? So you're hearing it from people.
I don't know anything.
Right, all the people that you're hearing from are talking about it as if it's a very insidious thing. Mm-hmm. Then that's the way you're going to think about it, because you don't hear anything else that contradicts that.
Yeah.
So that's just really important. To me, this was a plan that the Republicans came up with for how they could take control of the narrative, control what it is that people are thinking about and how they think about it, because they're going to be the only ones talking.
Let me also add that with what we're speaking of right now, the media plays a very important part in this, because the media is, and it's beyond understanding. Just like we spoke not long ago when they gave Trump all of this free publicity for a town hall that he was having. It was just crazy. Why can you?
They're giving him that free publicity every single day.
But they're doing it
every day.
Same thing with this Republican.
It's just when it's an event, it gives them something to focus on. But they're doing this every day.
And it's to me this is what I'm trying to say. You bring something to counteract that in, especially when they're speaking negatives about, they're speaking about Biden, speaking negatives. The American public is seeing that, and that's all they know.
So honing in on that, on Wednesday night, they had the second Republican debate. And I guess there were 7 candidates left, that are still in the race for the Republican nomination. And it was so, what you were saying a moment ago is prescient to me, because you were speaking on how people hear the things that are being talked about, how they hear it. They're hearing it from the voices of the people that are talking about it. So the media gives you the impression that these people were all behaving in an honorable way. They're all discussing stuff, and they're saying, and Nikki Haley, she came across the strongest. I won't even go down that road, but that she came off as the strongest. Ramaswamy, however you say his name, he was the second strongest, and Ron DeSantis, he was the second or third strongest. They were talking about it like that. But if you watch the debate, which I did, that's not the flavor of the response that it would seem to me you would have. These people talked over each other. They shouted at each other. They called each other names. They disrespected each other. The moderators are asking questions. They're just disrespecting the moderator, and 3 or 4 people are talking at the same time over and over and over again.
And there was no address of any of that from the media.
Well, the media, they did say, would you let me get my question in, please? But it just didn't have any strength.
It didn't have any.
Right? And my point is that if you were honestly appraising what went on in that debate, the first thing you would be talking about is how unrestrained these Republican candidates are in terms of advocating for what they want, irregardless of the needs and rights and sensibilities of everybody else around them. It shows you what kind of people they are. It shows you who they would be if they had power, right? If you're a person and I give you power, and I see that you're a person that would abuse your power, I wouldn't give you power. I would take power away from you.
Exactly.
Well, they're giving you an audition that shows you that these people don't know what to do with power.
Yeah.
They don't know how to speak responsibly, and so on. Then the few that could speak responsibly lie through their teeth.
Hey, I just want to go back real quick, but I got to say this. Do you know who was just so smooth, had power, but knew how to articulate and how to deal with power in a way? President Obama was one of the smoothest. I mean, it was just the way he spoke and the knowledge behind the things that he said. That's power in itself.
And Obama had to be the best characterization of those values, of that sense of ownership, of the responsibility of the presidency. He had to be the best exemplar of it.
As much as they tried to throw him off or make him raise his voice or argue or be argumentative, he stayed steady and smooth and never changed. Not one, No.
If he hadn't done that, he would have been the angry black man.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
It would have been all of that.
Yeah.
I think he knew that too. I think he knew that.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
Will, was that the cane that you had over there telling me that we need to break for a commercial?
Yeah, it's 9:32 now.
That's just horrible. You see how he does that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So listen, hopefully we're making some sense. I'm going to talk about this debate next and some of the things that took place in that debate. So please don't go away. We look forward to talking to you on this side of the break here at Living for the People at 91.3 FM WBNY.
FM WBNY is proud to present Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman.
Welcome to Democracy Now!
Award-winning investigative journalism.
Is the NRA imploding?
Providing relevant analysis that makes you think.
Secret State Department documents, including evidence of U.S. war crimes.
Fact-finding reports you will not hear elsewhere. Democracy Now! Airs Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. on 91.3 FM WBNY Buffalo. Ready for radio that's challenging, innovative, and encouraging? Tune in, Living for the People.
This is L. Nathan here. Join me right here, 91.3 FM WBNY. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9 a.m. after Amy Goodman's Democracy Now! We'll provide objective analysis regarding current issues. Call 878-5104. It's Living for the People on 91.3 FM WBNY. All right, welcome back to Living for the People. This is L. Nathan here, your host. We're here with Norm MacArthur, who's our in-studio audience of one. Welcome back, Norm.
Thank you, Mr. Hare.
And of course, we're here with our IT specialist, the person who has the knowledge on how to do all of this stuff through the new electronic medium, Willie H. Welcome back, Willie.
Welcome everybody to Living for the People with L. Nathan here. Calling y'all 716-878-5104.
So I went to an article that was written in the Explainer online magazine. This was written by Lois Beckett. I like to always give, honor to the people whose work I'm looking at and helping us to get context. She talked about these 7 Republican candidates in this debate, offering up an array of what she says was dubious data and claims to prop up their talking points. That's the reason why I went to this article, Norm, because she was real upfront with that. You don't normally hear a media person say it that cleanly,
it's
right?
It's kind of dubious.
She said that these people gathered together, all 7 of them, and they mounted an array of dubious data and claims to prop up their talking points. I just went through a few of the things that she pointed out. Here's one. The claim that the candidates said, and every one of them said this, that crime was overrunning U.S. cities. Now, you've been hearing that, all year long, from these Republicans. Crime is overrunning the cities, right? Now, while the Republicans discuss fears of crime overrunning cities, it's worth noting that the best data we have so far suggests that after an increase in killings during the early pandemic period in the first half of 2020,
right,
the number of murders across the country fell substantially last year. I'm going to get into this in more detail.
All right.
Jeff Asher, who is a crime analyst, also noted that murders appear to be falling even more this year. So it's not just that things are better last year than they were the years before last year, but this year compared to last year, things are better now than they were last year. So why are the Republicans claiming that crime is off the hook, that murders are off the hook, when the people who actually do the research, who actually count the beans, the Census Department, the people that do the FBI reports, if those people are saying that the numbers are different, why are you saying that the numbers are increased when the numbers have decreased? So Mike Pence suggested that the threat of the death penalty would deter people from committing mass shootings. That was his answer. Out of all the stuff they were talking about on crime, the thing that Mike Pence went to for his answer was, well, as he cocks his head to the side and looks like he's, authoritative, right? And he says, if we had the death penalty, that would deter people from committing mass shootings.
Can I comment here?
Well, I just want you to know we've had the death penalty in this country since the country was born.
Yeah.
You had mass shootings in this country since this country has been born, right?
Yeah.
So clearly, the death penalty does not deter mass shootings.
Not at all. But here's my comment. Every time there's a mass shooting, in most cases, the mass shooter takes his own life anyway in most cases. So I don't think these people are, they're not scared of that. I think as far as the death penalty goes, that's one thing, but mass shooting, the way to get that taken care of is to take care of these automatic weapons and where they're going.
Right.
That to me is the first and foremost.
Right, because in New York State, there's no gun manufacturers in New York State. Right. There's no place that makes the little parts that go to guns and whatnot. There's no ghost gun kits and whatnot in New York State. But in Ohio, they got enough for the Chinese. They got everything, right?
Man, you can go wherever you want to go.
Just drive right from Ohio through Erie, Pennsylvania, and come on into New York State. Come up Route 90, going east, and you can just drop the stuff off on your way.
Hey, I'm a believer in gun ownership. But I'm also a believer that the background checks and all of this stuff should be taken. The top priority, you have to really make sure you background check these people, and then and only then should they get weapons. And then when they get them, we're not talking about semi-automatic rifles. We're talking about something to protect your home.
But Norm, I also feel that even if they do that, and they should do that, like you're saying, but it's still the privilege. Those privileged, whoever that is, will still be able to get to those guns.
Well, the reason that they're trying to get to the gun is it's making money for the gun manufacturers,
right?
And that's the thing.
Well, that's the number one thing.
To come off the table.
The gun manufacturers get behind those people that are afraid. Barack Obama and Kamala Harris and those folks, Tanya Chutkin, becoming, federal judges and Supreme Court judges and governors and becoming vice president and becoming president. The people that are animatedly against that because they think that they're losing their position, in the pecking order in this country.
And that's why I say even if they do it, it's the privilege. Those people, they'll figure out a way to get it to those
and
people.
The gun manufacturers want to sell guns.
Right.
So what they do is they manipulate the people that are the ones that are afraid that they're losing their place in American society and say, well, not only are you losing your place, you enslaved a whole bunch of these people, like 13 million people, and their kids are still mad. And so, you need some guns to protect you from those people. Yeah. So you don't just need a gun, you need some guns.
Right.
I need some guns.
I repeat sales.
I saw it during the COVID at Walmart. I was working at Walmart COVID, and there was a lot of bullets that was going out of that place. I mean, huge amounts. So and by those other people, not people of color.
Right.
Those people.
Right. What they sell is fear. According to the Violence Project, which is a research firm, 72% of mass shooters were suicidal before or at the time of their shooting. So speaking of what you were just saying, Nora,
goes to my
the
point
record
right
suggests that 7 out of 10 of these people were already suicidal before they got the guns. Right? It goes on to say data from the FBI on mass shootings in 2021 and 2022 showed that a third to nearly a half of the perpetrators either died by suicide or were killed by police or other citizens during the attack. So the point here is if Mike Pence's solution is killing the people who commit the mass suicides, those people are getting shot anyway.
Yeah.
So if that was going to solve the problem, we wouldn't have the problem right now. We have to think differently. And the problem that I have with people like Mike Pence is they say this populist sounding stuff with no thought no research, no analysis, no science. They just say it because it sounds good. Then they get to people who it sounds good to who say, yeah, Pence got white hair and he looks real authoritative. We should give power to him. But he's not showing you any depth of thought. Right, and of course you got to watch him for 4 years as the vice president. Did he speak at all during the course of Donald Trump's presidency?
I didn't see him do anything.
Even to say evening prayers, he didn't speak at all, did he? Okay, I'm sorry, I made that up. I went to an article written by the Council on the Council on Criminal Justice. This was written by Ernesto Lopez, Richard Rosenfeld, and Bobby Boxerman, called Crime Trends in U.S. Cities, Mid-Year 2023 Update, that gets to what we're talking about right now. The snapshot suggests that levels of nearly all offenses are lower or have changed little in the first 6 months of 2033 compared to the first 6 months of 2022, with the exception of the large increase in motor vehicle theft. We've seen a large increase in motor vehicle thefts, but in virtually every other category of crime is significantly lower than it was before. So I just want to make this point, that the people who are the moderators, you would expect that the moderators would research the issues so that they would know what they were talking about. They would know what the people that are on the debate stage were talking about. So when something was said that was patently absurd, you could correct them and say, excuse me, Mr. Ramaswamy, whatever your name is, you're saying something that crime is off the hook, and that's not true. The people that count crime says and would read what I just said, right? So you can say whatever you want to say, but don't claim something to be true that's not true. We know for a fact that what you said is not true. Now speak. See, and that's the accountability that should be provided in these debates, but they're not provided. So how many people are listening to us right now? They're hearing what I just shared with you. So that's like, whatever, a few hundred people, that hear that. But you got millions of people that listen to that debate, and they think that what these knuckleheads said was true. So they make their decisions going forward based on what these people were saying. When these people, they weren't just wrong. I want this to be clear. These debate people were not wrong. They were lying. Lying is different than being wrong.
Wow.
Right.
Being wrong is making a mistake. You thought something was one thing and it was something else. You made a decision to do something one way, it turned out to be wrong, you needed to do it a different way. That's a mistake. That's not what's going on here. These people are outright lying to the American people, and we should speak to that. Go ahead, Nora.
Well, right at the end of the debates, it should be, everything really should be fact-checked, right after, the way I see it. But
I'm doing the fact-checking.
I know you are, Mr. Hare, but here's my thing. All of the crime has come down, except, like you say, the theft of cars. I believe, and this is just my opinion, but this is the cars that have been getting stolen are Hyundais,
Hondas, and Kias.
And Kias.
The cars they keep getting bought by people.
No. But check this out.
Right?
Check this out. This goes to the media. In the media, social media, I'll say, they show you how to steal Kias and Hyundais.
Right,
absolutely.
So with that being said,
put it on the internet.
It's on the internet.
Right.
And
The media is really, when you look at that, this shouldn't have ever even made. It should have, because these young kids.
Now it's free speech. It's free speech for you to tell somebody how to steal your car.
And this is what's going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the media they're a problem as far as this goes. And that's something that should be looked into.
I got some insight on that. And I was talking to an insurance guy, car insurance. He said, we don't even insure Kias and Honda, whatever that is. He said because they get stolen. The kids and the police can't do nothing about it, really. Because the kids just leave.
And these are
everybody
kids.
is tied.
It's just like, I don't know if you all remember, maybe 20, 25 years ago, they came up with these devices that you put on your steering wheel that make it impossible for you to be able to steer the car.
Yeah.
Right? You have to go back. See, people, when they started coming up with different kinds of cars, with the push buttons for the ignitions rather than, the key ignitions and so on, they felt that they had solved that problem. So they stopped doing those defensive things. But we should not have done that. We should continue to lock the, the steering wheel. Because you're not going to bother to stop to steal a car if you know you won't be able to steer the car. Right. And unless you got a blowtorch or something that you can use to be able to, to break the lock off of the steering wheel, you're not going to be able to roll away with that car.
I know a friend of mine's had a Kia, and that's what she did. She put some kind of lock.
Think about how much money you spend on the accessories in your car. Not just for the air conditioning, but you got little TVs in the cars. You got sound systems. You got all kinds of toys they put inside these cars.
The car is a big computer now,
and these toys are expensive. It's costing you $300 for this and $100 for that. Tinted windows, probably $300 for the tinted windows and so on. Well, if you can spend that kind of money on those toys, you could spend $14 on a wheel lock. On a steering wheel lock.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, those are very inexpensive things that you can use. You're putting all these other things in your car that cost you bunches of money for something that costs you pennies. But you don't put that stuff in.
Inexpensive, but very effective.
But I can see, especially young people, it's inconvenient because it takes time to put that together, to lock it up and then to take it off. It takes about a minute, 60 seconds.
You're right. And
young people won't do that.
It's really inconvenient when you come back to where your car is parked and there's only glass where your car used to be. That's inconvenient too. Absolutely. So you just have to decide which inconvenience is
60
worse.
Seconds. Right. Absolutely, yeah.
So Vivek Ramaswamy, the little young guy who says he's the entrepreneur, the hedge fund, businessman, whatever he called himself, is. I think he's about 36 years old, but he looks like he's like 20 and so on. He claimed during the debate, he said that children who are transgender have a mental health disorder. And then cousin Mike Pence chimed in, the children could transform, they could transition without their parents' consent. Both of those statements are patently untrue. They're just untrue, right? The major medical organizations in this country, the ones like the American Medical Association, the people that we go to get this information, the American Psychiatric Association, the people that we go to get this information, they say that being transgender is not a mental disorder. Gender dysphoria, which I had to look up the word, because I don't know every word, right? So gender dysphoria refers to, or the word dysphoria refers to unease or dissatisfaction. Unease or dissatisfaction. Now I ask myself, how compelling is feeling unease or dissatisfaction? Would I take my body's basic, naturally grown body parts and have them cut off and put some other body parts on me because I felt unease or dissatisfaction? Would I turn myself into a different gender because I felt some unease or dissatisfaction? It may not be a mental health disorder, but what it is something that it seems to me we should be helping people think about as broadly and as thoroughly as possible before they make decisions that are going to trap their life forever. So I'm all the way in that it's not a mental health disorder. Doesn't seem to be a mental health disorder to me. Mental health disorders are like what happened to my father. When he got to be like 85, 87 years old, that dementia, a stalking horse, showed up in his life.
Yeah, it hit my father at 55.
Okay, so that's a mental health disorder. Somebody with schizophrenia, that's a mental health disorder. Feeling unease, when I'd walk around South Buffalo with my bowling ball, walking back from, Broadway bowling or someplace that I was, in a bowling league when I was 14 years old, and I'm walking through South Buffalo with my bowling bag, I felt unease because in South Buffalo they stared at me. They looked at me like, "What you doing here?" Well, why are you in our space? You belong in the period projects. Well, hurry up, scoot along, right? And so on, right? That was unease. That's not a mental health issue. That's just me feeling uncomfortable. Seems to me that we are allowing people in this society to take discomfort and force us to make policy decisions that require immense amounts of money and immense amounts of changes in how we operate in our society on the basis of somebody's feelings of unease. We should try to deal with the unease first,
Mr. Hare.
Then deal with any biological remedies. Go ahead.
Mr. Hare, I have to comment here because this is something that's kind of close to me. I have used to be a niece. Now I have a nephew. Mm-hmm. My nephew, did
the operation?
Did the operation changed. And with that being said, now, me, myself, I wasn't in agreement with that. I'm close to my nephew. I love my nephew. Mm-hmm. But I stand behind him because he, there were some things that happened in her life at the time that, I think that she had some things going on, and she felt that this wasn't her, and then other things happened, and it sped up this change process for her, and I think that now he feels better about himself, who he is. I think that the only thing that I can really stand to and go to is what we speak about a lot, is that he had that right to do what he had to do for himself.
And there's no question.
And that, what I mean? But I stand behind him because I love him, and I'm, not that I agree with it, but he did what he had to do for him.
I try to keep my life as simple as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. I find that simple is much easier to manage than complex. Mm-hmm. If I try to manage all the complexity of somebody saying I'm a cisgender this, I'm a cisgender that, mm-hmm. I'm a him, her, he, them, and so on, that is so confusing and crazy, from my mind. I just can't process.
You know what? Now, we've had several conversations, and we've never got to this point. So this was a day that I just felt that I had to chime in about it because
I think that the thing that I'm trying to get people to understand is your feeling of unease or dissatisfaction is not either legal or illegal. The law has nothing to do with it.
Right.
If you feel unease, you just feel unease. Mm-hmm. If you feel dissatisfaction, you feel dissatisfaction. The people that you are around, the people that love you, should be helping you to work your way through that feeling of unease and dissatisfaction. If that means you got to have yellow hair rather than brown hair, or you got to have red hair rather than black hair, or you got to wear a dress rather than pants, well, then that's just what you do, right? Mm-hmm. That's not a legal thing or illegal thing.
Right.
That just is. We keep confusing what we think as natural as if natural and legal are the same thing. Mm. That's not true. It's natural for grass to grow anywhere you put grass seed. But you can't put grass in my driveway because the grass is going to have to go. My driveway is going to trump, your grass and so on, right? Just because something is legal doesn't mean that you have to do it. Just because something makes you feel uneasy or makes you feel uncomfortable doesn't mean you have to pass a law about it, right? We should be able to work through our own culture, to deal with unease and dissatisfaction. And I guess that's the core point that I'm trying to make.
No, I agree with that.
We should not be trying to use the law, to do things that really the law has nothing to do with, right? It's not illegal for you to feel differently about your gender. It just is. I think we have a caller. Hang on. Let me get that caller real quick. Hi, caller. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. This is Yvonne calling.
All right, I'm glad to hear your voice again. I hope we're not driving you away with our crazy thoughts here.
No, not at all. I just wanted to comment on what you were talking about the gender. And I find that it's a problem when parents are, when children are being allowed to make a decision to change their
sex.
Who they are naturally, right? Because I remember growing up, I had 3 brothers. My brothers could do everything. I couldn't do nothing because I was a girl. So, I mean, I wanted to be a boy. I wanted to run outside with my shirt off. I got in trouble for that.
Well, we're glad that you respected that you should get in trouble for doing that.
Couldn't have any of that, Dee. Couldn't have any of that.
The world would not be the same if Yvonne had turned into Vaughn.
Well, I don't know if I would have mind her just walking outside with
Hey,
Will. I'm sorry.
I told you,
I'm sorry.
Will is a different guy. He tries to act like he's one thing. He's like somebody else.
Really ain't no joke.
I'm sorry, Yvonne. Will didn't mean that.
You know what? At that time, that's when your sister Lorna, she used to babysit us. She wouldn't let me go outside with no shirt on.
And Lorna would have whipped you. Absolutely.
But that's the thing is that, people feel, like you mentioned, unease for different reasons. And I recall feeling that way, not just that for that one period of time in my life, but even maybe a couple of years older. Oh, the boys got to do everything. I couldn't do nothing, and they got their clothes were cooler, the boys' sneakers were boys. Back then, girls started wearing boys' sneakers. And
go and clean your sneakers off, then, Dee Dee.
No, it was a fad, that girls were wearing boys' sneakers.
Yeah. That's the thing used to kill me. The girls were wearing these high ankle, sneakers and whatnot. Boys' sneakers. What is this all about? But again, it's not illegal for you to be a girl and buy boys' sneakers. It's not illegal. It's odd, but it's not illegal.
Well, not today is not odd because I see girls.
For my era, it's still odd.
Yeah.
But that's just the thing is that a lot of times it's because you don't understand society. You don't understand the way the world works, and that's why you feel differently a lot of times about why, how come I can't do this? Well, I can't do that because I'm a woman, or, so on and so forth, a female rather. So that's my thing. You got these parents who, their children are not adults yet, and they're allowing them to make changes.
So you think
changes to their body.
So, Yvonne, you think there should be some leading, with the parents should be leading, at least trying to guide them in a more natural, safe, wholesome way. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not saying that I think that they should be guided to think what, either way. I think that they should be told that, prodded more as to why do you feel this way.
Gotcha.
And try to pull that out of it.
I got you.
Because you can change the way you feel. But if you cut off your body parts and replace them with somebody else's body parts, you can't change that because of how you feel. So you don't want to trap yourself into something that's going to bind you for the rest of your life over something that's just a temporary feeling that you have, right? So just like you were feeling, a little, some kind of ugly about why you weren't able to do the things the boys were doing, but a time came in your life where you got to do things that girls do that boys couldn't do, and you had a certain fellowship, with girls that boys don't seem to get, and you grew into a life path that worked for you, right?
Yeah, hey, I'm happy now.
There you go.
Cancer.
There you go.
I think that it should be. I think if there are going to be any laws placed, I think that there should be laws placed. If a person can't smoke legally buy cigarettes until they're 18, 21, if they can't drink until they're 21, you mean to tell me they can go in and get a operation to mutilate their bodies and
Yep.
change their bodies, forever.
Yep. Yvonne, they got the hook on me now. They get real ugly when we get to the break of the hour. So, next week, call a little bit earlier. Call about 20 minutes earlier, okay? All right. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Thank all of you out there for listening to us and supporting us here at Living for the People at 91.3 FM, WBNY. We will see you all on Friday.